I asked the former vice president about that comment and much more in our revealing conversation. Mr. Vice President, thank you for being here. And I should note where we are. We're in Boston at the JFK Library because you just received the John F. Kennedy Profile and Courage Award last night for certifying the election results in 2020. And in your acceptance speech, you invoked the Constitution and you said it's the common ground on which we stand. How has that been a guiding principle for you?
Well, it's good to see you, Kaitlan. Thanks. Thanks for traveling up here to the Kennedy Library. It was deeply humbling for me to receive the recognition, the Profile and Courage Award last night. As I shared with his family, President Kennedy was an inspiring figure since I was a little boy, and his eloquence and his example inspires me still. And so to be in any way associated with President Kennedy's legacy is something I'll cherish for the rest of my life. But as I shared last night, the thing that I am more convinced of than ever is that as we face challenges in our country at home and abroad, as we resolve differences between Americans, that the Constitution is the common ground on which we stand. And I saw that firsthand over the last 4 years when people literally from every political perspective have stopped me on the street, walked up to me in airports, and simply expressed appreciation for the fact that, as I said last night, that I believe I did my duty under the Constitution on that fateful day to see to the peaceful transfer of power. The American people cherish our Constitution. They cherish our rich traditions in liberty, and I think recognizing that the people of this country will always stand on that common ground. It should be a great source of encouragement to all of us.
Well, given that, when President Trump was asked if he thinks that he has to uphold the Constitution, he said, quote, "I don't know." Is there any doubt in your view that the president must uphold the Constitution?
Well, we all take the same oath, which is we put our left hand on a Bible and raise our right hand. And we swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And despite our enduring differences about my duty 4 years ago, I believe President Trump understands that well. Honestly, Kaitlan, I saw a bit of that clip, and I think the president was simply saying that he didn't yet know what his lawyer's view of that question was. But I served alongside the president for 4.5 years. We had a good working relationship. I'm proud of the record of the Trump-Pence administration, and I believe the president understands what his responsibilities and duties are. And also, I want to say that I have great confidence in Attorney General Pam Bondi and in the team around the president. I think Tom Homan is a great lawman, and as I wrote last week, I commend President Trump and the administration for the strong steps that they've taken to secure our border and reduce illegal immigration by 90%. I think these are important steps. It's what the American people were hoping to see, and I greatly welcome it.
But in your view, there's no question of whether the president has to uphold the Constitution.
Oh, no, we all take, as my Marine Corps son reminded me a few days before January 6th, he said, you took the same oath I took, Dad. It's the oath that people in the military, people in law enforcement, people in public life take. And I have every confidence the president understands his responsibilities.
He didn't say it nearly as clearly as you did this just there, because he was asked about this argument that has been playing out when it comes to, you mentioned immigration, but a lot of this isn't playing out, not on the southern border, but inside the courtroom and court fights. And when he was asked if he agreed that everyone on U.S. soil deserves due process, he also said, quote, "I don't know, I'm not a lawyer," despite it being guaranteed by the Fifth Amendment. Is it clear to you that everyone on U.S. soil is afforded due process?
Well, I think that's one of the genius aspects of our system and of our Constitution is that the protections and the liberties that are enshrined there are provided to persons in America, not just citizens in America. And I have every confidence that the administration understands that. You know, the Supreme Court recently ruled that the president was fully acting within the law to use the Foreign Aliens Act to deport individuals from this country. They called for reasonable due process, recognizing that the safety of the American people is paramount when people are in this country illegally, when people represent a threat to our communities, when they are engaged in criminal activities. There's a different standard. And as I said, I have confidence in the administration. I have confidence in our Attorney General, and also, as I said, confidence in Tom Homan, who has a long career, served in our administration with great distinction, that they'll work through the issues of due process with the backstop of our courts. But the priority has to be to protect our communities. I mean, we have seen tragic consequences over the last 4 years from the open borders policies of the Biden administration. And I think in many respects, President Trump's historic victory, that incredible comeback of a year ago, last fall, was owing to the fact that the American people wanted to get back to the policies of our administration, not only on the economy, I also believe on the world stage, and certainly in the way that we secured the southern border of the United States.
But can they do both? Can't you protect communities and also provide people due process, in your view?
You sure can. And I have confidence in our justice system. I have confidence in our courts that will do just that, Kaitlan.
On the economy, you obviously were serving as vice president the last time President Trump was putting tariffs in place. He's gone much bigger and broader this time, and he seems to be downplaying any concerns that people have about a recession. Instead, he's arguing in the long run his policies will be successful. Do you worry, though, that the tariffs he's putting in place could potentially lead the U.S. into a recession?
Well, let me back up for a second and say that I really do believe that President Trump's historic reelection last year was in many respects not just a reflection of a personality, but it was also that what I heard all over the country is that people wanted to get back to the policies of our administration. In addition to strong American leadership on the world stage, which we can get into in a minute, it also was that we cut taxes, rolled back regulation, unleashed American energy. But we also used targeted tariffs, particularly against China, after decades of trade abuses and intellectual property theft. We brought China to the table and achieved that 2020 Phase 1 trade deal that was truly historic and was a beginning of changing the dynamic of our relationship with China. So now, as I see this administration, I do have concerns that with the president's call for broad-based tariffs against friend and foe alike, that ultimately the administration is advancing policies that are not targeted at countries that have been abusing our trade relationship, but rather are essentially new industrial policy that will result in inflation, that will harm consumers and ultimately harm the American economy. So, again, I want to be clear. When it comes to China, when it comes to decades of trade abuses, my view always is free trade with free nations. That we ought to be engaging our trading partners across the free world to lower trade barriers, lower non-tariff barriers and subsidies. But when it comes to authoritarian regimes, we ought to get tough, stay tough, and demand that they open their markets and respect our intellectual property.